Look how they massacred my boy.
Hello and welcome back to the Futile Film Project. I've never really been a big reader. I have nothing against books, it's just not how I like to spend my free time. Every now and then though, there's a book that really grabs me. And for a large portion of my childhood, I couldn't put the Artemis Fowl series down. Yes, while other kids were following the saga of the boy who lived, and others were fighting over Team Werewolf and Team Vampire, Team Jacob every day, I was reading the rather dark tale of a child criminal mastermind as he terrorized a fantasy world of mythical creatures. Before we dive in, if you want to help me kidnap and ransom a fairy for a vast sum of gold, hit that subscribe button down below. Now back to the show. If you know where we're headed, well, we'll get there soon. But first we have to lay the groundwork. The Artemis Fowl series follows its titular character as he grows from an evil prodigy who's devoted his life to criminal deeds to a sympathetic anti-hero. He is mainly accompanied by his bodyguard and servant Butler, who acts as the Brock Sampson of the series.
Everyone okay?
Their relationship is the glue that holds many of the plots together, as Butler is often the closest thing to family that he has. Their path gets increasingly intertwined with the world of mythical creatures. A reoccurring character in these adventures is Elf Holly Short. The first female in the Lower Elements Police, or LEP, Holly is overseen by Commander Julius Root, a surly, no-nonsense type who has a strained relationship with her that softens over time. There is also Mulch Diggums, a kleptomaniac dwarf who often acts as the comedic relief for the series. There are many more characters, and the story gets more and more intricate as the books go on, but for the sake of this video, we are going to focus on the first book, as that is the main inspiration for 2020's film, Artemis Fowl. The most important thing to note about the first book is that Artemis is undoubtedly the bad guy. His whole motivation is ripped right from a Saturday morning cartoon villain.
I promise I'll get you next time.
The plot is simple. Artemis comes from a long line of thieves. His father has gone missing and his mother has gone mad in his absence. Artemis, being an industrious young chap, has decided to use his knowledge of fairies for his financial benefit. He kidnaps Holly Short in the hopes to ransom her for gold. Hijinks ensue, but in the end, Artemis emerges victorious, with half of the ransom and his mother's mental illness having been cured by way of fairy magic. Even in this rather short synopsis, a few things should be clear. These books are rather dark for young readers, dealing with kidnapping, ransom, mental illness, institutional misogyny, and that's before we even get to the fact that these awful deeds are often done by the character that we are meant to root for. Artemis is a misguided but driven individual who is in control of every situation that he's in. He weaves intricate webs to trap his enemies. In almost any other piece of children's media, he would be the one that loses in the end. So, how did Disney choose to adapt this book that prides itself on not talking down to its young readers? By chucking literally everything we just went over right out the window. This film is as bad as everyone says. In fact, it may be worse. There is not a single redeeming quality in this film. They open with Artemis surfing and one-wheeling around. They might as well add a yippee to this scene. Oh, you know what? I'll do it for him on the house. Yippee! This film is narrated by Mulch Diggums, played by Josh Gad. And if there's one thing that I think every film needs, it's wall-to-wall Josh Gad.
Also known as
Your worst nightmare!
I find this choice infinitely confusing. For one, they didn't even try to alter his appearance at all. The final product is a hairy, dirty Josh Gad, who gargled nails and battery acid before each day of filming.
The man. Oh no. This isn't about the father. This is about the son.
They could have at least tried to make him look like a dwarf. Whoever they had do the CG creatures clearly took some pride in their work. But no, instead we get a dollar store version of Hagrid for the entire film.
You're not a dwarf.
No, I am. I'm a dwarf.
No, you're not.
I am a giant dwarf.
The story is a mess. The only way you could say it resembles the first book at all is if you haven't read the first book. For one, Artemis's mom got the classic Disney treatment.
We made it, Mother!
Artemis's dad is also present at the beginning of the film, played by a very unenthusiastic Colin Farrell. One of the biggest names tied to this film, and someone that they clearly couldn't afford for more than a couple days of shooting. All of his scenes either consist of him sitting in the mansion or being tied up by the film's villain Opal, shot as if they were actually a Saturday morning cartoon and sounding worse than Josh Gad.
You will do so on my behalf. Find the Acula so you will never see him again.
This character doesn't show up until the 4th book in the series, and basically only shares a name with that character. It is also completely unclear how they relate to the plot. This character exists in this awkward middle ground where the movie wants you to think they're important, but they never do anything. In the realm of the story they're adapting, the character's addition is completely unnecessary because the story should already have a villain. Oh yes. Let's talk about Artemis. For the most part, I don't feel bad about raking this film over the coals. Disney took its fat, greasy cock and had their way with a series that meant a lot to me as a child. They deserve all of the hate and financial loss they've suffered from this film. On the other hand, I do feel bad about making fun of the actor that played Artemis. I want to make a clear distinction between talking about the portrayal of the character and the character that exists in the script. Starting with the on-screen performance, this is the first acting credit for Ferdia Shaw, and it isn't good. There are many scenes that require emotion that is far outside of his range.
All I really want is to believe in you.
Other scenes require confidence that he just doesn't have. It seems like he says a line and then waits patiently for the next one to be whispered in his ear. My hope is that he gets a lot more practice and has a better second film. That all being said, the script doesn't do him any favors. The Artemis in this film lacks all of the charisma that he had in the book. At no point does he seem in control of any situation. His emotional outbursts are wildly out of character, and his decisions are beyond stupid. All of the decisions that all of the characters make in this film lack any reason, but it is especially noticeable when one of the characters is supposed to be a mastermind. For example, take this scene where Artemis has captured Holly. She has the power of mind control, so they all wear glasses to counteract this. Then, the next scene they share, he immediately takes off the glasses. What? Why? Then, for some explicable reason, she doesn't use her powers against him. Remember, even in this film, he kidnapped her. Why would she willingly stay in this cage? Then, in the next scene they share, he takes off the glasses again and sets her free. The whole plot of the movie is that he is going to ransom her to get what he wants. Moments like this make it clear that Artemis doesn't have a plan. He is not clever. In all honesty, he seems like a perfectly ordinary kid. And that is what the director's ultimate goal was. Don't make him special, make him relatable. Which begs the question, if you wanted to make a film about a totally normal kid, why did you make an Artemis Fowl film? This video would be incomplete without talking about Dame Judi Dench. She is unquestionably the biggest name in this film, and I have no idea what she's doing here. The best I can guess is that she owes someone a lot of money. She clearly doesn't want to be here, and yet she is in a huge amount of the film. And worse yet, the film doesn't even have anything for her to do. So for a lot of it, she stands around and gives terribly written lines.
Top of the morning.
Like almost everybody else in this film, I can only assume that she showed up for the paycheck, and you can feel it. Before we end this video, I have to talk about the ending of this movie. After sitting through 90 minutes of pure shit, we get this over-the-top conclusion. It is trying so hard to be cool, and it comes across as so funny. Artemis gives this self-righteous speech about how he is now a criminal mastermind and he's off to commit other crimes. It is such a clear lie that it almost hurts to listen to. We haven't seen him commit any crimes, he isn't a mastermind, and there won't be any sequels. You can't just tell the viewers what you wished you would have done in the film. Then we see all of the characters fly off into the sunset, even though most of them have no reason to be around each other, nor have they shared any meaningful screen time. I would say that this is a prime example of a bad ending ruining a film if the rest of the film hadn't been terrible. I remember reading rumblings about a potential movie back when I was in middle school, and I was pumped. I would read the books and daydream about how great this film could be. It was something that I carried into adulthood, and in all honesty, the books are written for kids. There's no way they would hold up if I reread them now. But I was always hoping that a film could take me back to that time in my life. The thing I truly don't understand about this film is why. Why was this made? Why was it made now? And why was it made like this? While the Artemis Fowl series is not a juggernaut in the literary world, it has sold 25 million copies. It has been translated into 44 languages, and it has multiple spin-offs. The series has its fans. People have read these books and they like them. Why would you change it into this? At the end of the day, some books are just better left as books, especially in the hands of careless filmmakers. Thank you for spending your time with me. If you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button down below, and we'll all start pushing together. I'll see you next time.